All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. How's everybody doing tonight? Today we're going to be talking about Batman: The Long Halloween Part Uno. So if you like what we're doing here on the channel, don't forget to become a subscriber. If you're new here, welcome. If you're an older subscriber, not in age, just a returning subscriber, welcome back. This is an interesting movie, and I got some things to say about it. Because I like to praise DC for having such a large amount of animated content. I feel like they've definitely, it's not even an argument that they win the animation battle when it comes to comic book films. They blow Marvel out of the water. Now, there's a bit of a quality versus quantity thing going on where, if you don't care, if you are determined to just like everything because it's whatever property you like, more power to you. But I've had a kind of a iffy past liking a lot of the DC stuff. Some of it is really good, some of it is really bad, and some of it is middle of the road. And I've tried to watch Flashpoint before. And I mean, I hated the animation. I thought the animation in that was so ugly and it was so distracting that I can't get through it. I just read the book. I'd rather just read Flashpoint the book. But then there's other stuff like The Dark Knight Returns, some of the Justice League stuff. That's all really, really good. The most recent one that I watched was Hush. And I really didn't like it. It's one of my favorite Batman books series, and I loved the comic, and I could not stand the movie. I thought they butchered it, and what I didn't know at the time, though, was that they were building like a connected bunch of films, and that Hush was one of them, and so a lot of things that didn't make sense are because they were making a through line and making Hush fit what they were doing. But this is a different thing. Batman: The Long Halloween is a different thing. And there are so many bad stories, right? That basically it doesn't even matter which ones you like or don't like. They've got one for every taste, style, opinion out there. So if you don't like this one, there's probably one you will like. But there's also a thing that while I was watching this where I just kind of kept feeling like, how many times can we see the same thing over and over again? It used to be, having to hear about Bruce's, parents getting killed, reliving that whole thing. But now it's just kind of in general. But again, like I said, if the story's good enough, it doesn't really matter. And in the Batman: The Long Halloween, it's another retelling, another kind of version, again, like a multiverse story, a Black Label type book, where it doesn't really matter. All right, it doesn't have to be in any kind of continuity, and it's whether or not you can handle all that, I think. But there's still a lot going on. Like there's a different kind of animation style in this. But first, I want to talk about one thing right up front that I didn't notice a lot of people talking about. That I've watched several reviews for this, and one thing I want to bring up right up and foremost is that this is one of the posthumous performances for Naya Rivera, who died in 2020, who drowned and saved her son in the process. And I did not know that she was in this going into this movie. And I thought it was really nice. I looked it up. She finished her performance in both Part 1 and Part 2. I thought it was a really nice role. I thought she did a pretty good job. There was one line that I was like, oh, you never know when you're going to go. There's a line that she has near the end about, I'll see you on the other side. And I just kind of had that moment of, oh. But I think it's kind of cool because, her son, he can watch this series of these two movies and be like, wow, my mom was Catwoman, and she was in a comic book movie. And that's probably pretty cool for kids, but, well, I don't know. I really wanted to bring that up because that's a tremendous loss. This young woman, she was only 33 years old, and clearly this was made, her voice acting was put in before she passed. So this movie's been in the works for a while. As far as the other voice talent goes in this, there's a surprising amount of quality people, but I really wasn't blown away by anybody's performances. I was singling out Naya's because I'm very aware of what has happened to her. I thought she was really good as Selena. Josh Duhamel, I thought, was pretty decent as Harvey Dent. Jensen Ackles, Batman has been done better. He's been done worse. Jack Quaid in this is Alberto Falcone. I thought it was all right. Didn't have much to do. David Malchian from The Dark Knight. He was Calendar Man. I thought he was pretty good. But Billy Burke is Commissioner Gordon. I didn't really recognize his voice. Like, he was doing a pretty good job. But the standout, of course, is going to be Troy Baker's Joker. He's the one that's having the most fun. And while some might say that he's doing a Mark Hamill impersonation, since Mark's not doing the voice anymore, I would rather hear somebody doing something that sounds similar to what Mark did for the Joker than not. I thought Troy did a really good job in Arkham Origins as Joker, and he really is the one that gets to be fun and enjoyable and a performance to watch in this movie. Because everybody else is playing it very straight, and when I was thinking about this one feels like it really wants to be a movie, even a two-part movie. But sometimes, you just don't have the budgets. It's just easier sometimes to make an animated movie. But I think that this would have translated really well into a two-part movie. Because it's played really ground level. This isn't This isn't an over-the-top movie. I felt like I was watching maybe something that would have fit in the Batman '89 type era, or even the Christopher Nolan era. Because you can definitely see where Christopher Nolan took from this book for The Dark Knight. I mean, there's stuff in here that he took straight from the book and into The Dark Knight, like the whole relationship with Gordon and Dent, and him, and taking down the mafia and working against them, and Harvey being the one in the light and Batman working in the shadows, to the piles of money that they find. There's a lot of things going on here that just felt like, wow, I've seen this already, except it was written in the 90s. Nolan puts it in his movie, and now we're watching it again sort of in an animated film in 2021. 2021, holy crap. The Dark Knight was in 2008. It is now 2021. Holy shit. Bucket of water to the face. Another thing about this is the animation style. It's very different. It's not animated series. It's not over the top, the kind of anime or like the Flashpoint Paradox one where it's just no neck dudes who look like everybody just huge, swole. This I would swear that this is from the team who made the Venture Brothers. These characters all look like they were drawn by the people who, if the Venture Brothers show suddenly decided to do, hey, we're going to take all the characters from the Venture Brothers and make a Batman movie. Because the animation style is straight up Venture Brothers. I don't care. It's a little, I think it fits for the story that they're trying to do here. And I really dig it. It's not in your face. Just like none of this movie is really in your face. The soundtrack's not in your face. The performances aren't in your face. Again, it feels like it really wants to be taken seriously. It's a quieter movie. When there is music, it's used appropriately. I was so happy that there wasn't a lot of pop music blasting me in the face. It was very atmospheric. And I did like how they handled the telling of the holidays. That felt very much like this is the one of the few comic books iconic that I've never read. But when there's a murder at the end of a holiday, and that's when they put Halloween right after a murder, Thanksgiving, right after a murder. That feels straight out of a comic book. That feels like very much a comic book thing. And I like that. I like them not having to hold our hand, telling us what time of year it is. We all know that we can hear them say Halloween or getting the turkey ready or hey, it's your Christmas shopping. You know, I thought that that was fine and very comic booky to do it like that. I also like that we weren't inundated like scene after scene after scene of like another supervillain or whatever. In fact, it got to be the point where I was like, is Joker actually in this movie? And he is, and he's used properly, and I liked it. Everything felt like it was all building up to certain things. And the only complaint is that when it ends, it kind of just ends. There is a post-credit scene that we'll talk about, but all in all, I mean, I thought that it was pretty decently well done, but it's not like the splashiest Batman movie, animated film. There have been a lot more colorful ones. There have been a lot more energetic ones. There's definitely been worse ones that looked better, but there's also been ones that are worse that don't look that great either. So, I mean, it really just depends on your taste. I thought that this was a really decent, halfway decent movie. I don't think it was as good as like The Dark Knight Returns. It was definitely better than Hush. And so I've managed to not really talk about spoilers, but I mean, the plot of this movie is somebody's killing mobsters on each holiday, starting with Halloween. And they're using like an old like German Luger kind of looking gun with a nipple, like a rubber nipple on the tip. And it's how Gordon and Batman and Harvey Dent are trying to bring down these mobsters while somebody's murdering them, trying to find out who this holiday killer is. Meanwhile, you've got Selena Kyle in the mix, played by Naya Rivera. And, eventually you get the Joker in here. And you get to see one of the strongest points of this movie is the relationship between Harvey Dent and his wife Gilda. I thought that this was really, really interesting. Because it's not, again, not in your face. It's not showing too much. They're hinting at certain things as the story goes on. You can tell that she feels a little troubled. She's, not passing out candy to the kids. She's out back drinking and smoking. And they make it seem like it's her problem. But as the movie slowly goes on, you don't know how much of this is her relationship with Harvey stuff or is it just her. Throughout the movie, we find out she can't have kids, but also she's like, it doesn't look like she even wants kids. We also find out she was a lawyer, but now she says she isn't anything, and you wonder, is she not a lawyer because Harvey doesn't want her to be a lawyer? What's really going on in this relationship behind closed doors? Because right now, Harvey looks like the White Knight. Sort of. Until their house gets blown up and, they start to kind of go down that road again that the Dark Knight does. The one who's supposed to work in the light, falling from grace. He's also a suspect in this, but nobody really wants to admit it. If somebody... I did not spoil this for myself. I did not look online to find out who the holiday killer is. I mean, the easy money is that it's Harvey Dent. But either the movie is really telegraphing that and I've read too many comic books, or they're going to throw in some, out of left field character. But it's a guy. We know that. And it's the build of a person. And there were moments where I was like, man, some Batman characters would have, whatever, depending on who the writer is, would have been able to capture this guy. But I really thought it was pretty decent. And I'm excited to see where they're going with it in the future. I'm trying to think of anything else that's really that important. I like seeing Solomon Grundy in this. I did like seeing Calendar Man. Even though it did seem I know Brad Jones had said something about like he was this movie's Hannibal Lecter, and I can't disagree with that. And that's, Bats is not much of a detective in this. And there was a couple of pretty decent action sequences, especially when he's going up against some Chinatown thugs. I thought that was really good. But I like seeing Batman be, he's a great, great fighter. But he's also one of the smartest men in the world, and when he just kind of seems like he's just playing catch up the whole time, it just that part, I'd rather see a smart Batman than a tough Batman. And so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But then, the one main spoiler is Alberto Falcone. They try to paint him as the villain at the end of this, that he was Holiday. Batman's like comes up and confronts him, right? You're the one who was left out and not feeling like the son of, you wanted power. And the guy's like, no, I didn't want power at all, man. I just, wanted to be a son to my father. I wanted to be accepted. And then he gets shot because this movie also makes a very, very dumb mistake in that Selina Kyle calls Batman Bruce, right in front of Alberto Falcone. And I was like, what are you doing, lady? But you also know that as soon as that happens, the character that's been told that is probably got a shelf life of about 10 seconds, and it's true. I did think that his death scene was probably one of the better moments in this movie, where he gets shot up, falls over the edge of a boat, and then lands into the choppers, the propellers of a giant boat. And but Batman not knowing, just kind of, duh, I got that wrong, and then has to play catch up for the rest of the film. And it's the end. I don't know. But it had good moments too. And again, I liked kind of that it was a kind of a quiet, slow burn Batman. And we've got a whole other part, which probably leads me to believe that part 2 is going to be a lot more fast-paced and more action-y. And then we do have to talk about the post-credits scene where Falcone wants Bruce to work with him. Bruce says, nope. And you find out that Falcone's new girlfriend, Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy, who shakes Bruce's hand and takes control of him. His eyes go green. So that's how it ends. But all in all, just a pretty decent movie. Not the best, definitely not the worst. And like I said, there's so many DC animated films that even if you don't like this one, there's probably 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 you like. So go watch those. It's fine, But I actually dug this. And I the only thing that sucked is I hope Troy Baker would have been in the second one. Just because, again, he brought the most life to this film. So anyway, if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, if you hated every single thing I said and thought, wow, he said bad things about DC, he must be a Marvel fanboy who can't, ever let us have a win. No, this was a pretty good movie. But if you still didn't like it, we can give you a better memory. So we're just going to give you a little bit of the last 18 minutes of your life back. If you did like this, please look away. If you didn't, look right here. Time for your better memory. You just watched any episode of the Batman the Animated Series and you had a grand old time. Have a good night, everybody.